Ready, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I was this little kid and I always wanted to go on stage with them, but I didn't know what to do. Ambi was managing Jazzy B, who I'd never heard of. Chop muh chak ke bhej doge, bhai ji, kar do share. They genuinely don't give a unless they can mature something out of you. Hence my sabbatical from the Punjabi industry. We were family. What industry is it? Gaane banaunde, you got the UK industry, Canada the industry, Punjab the industry. Bloody music is music at the end of the day, yeah? You'll get people ringing up, bro, big fan, love to work with you. No friendship, don't know the guy. And soon as he walks on stage, damn. I grew up in a small town in the UK, England, called Bedford. Originally, I went to Malaysia at a very young age, and I came back from Malaysia around 7. So I've always been around where sort of Gurdwara, Gyani, satsangs, because my mum, she's a Khandapatan, and that basically, for those that don't know, that she used to do a lot of Khandapats, read the Guru Granth Sahib. So you used to go Gurdwara a lot. And so basically we used to hear the Gyani. At that time, I had absolutely zero interest, but my mum used to do a lot of kirtan and satsang with the local ladies at the Gurdwara. So I suppose music's always been around me, but trust me, when you're in a country in the 70s or mid-70s, late 70s, people like Chamkila, Sukshinder Shinda, Kuldeep Manak, they were non-existent to me. And they were non-existent to me for many, many years until I came to the UK. And even after that, I think the first thing I went to Malaysia. I'm sort of going on to a different story here. But I went to Malaysia and one of my relatives had a little keyboard, a little Casio keyboard, if anybody knows what they are. And so I was intrigued by, these little white and black notes, now I know them as notes, but I knew that, the white ones, every note made a different sound. And I remember my Masi, God bless her soul, she rest in peace. They were going to go to Singapore, but leave me behind. Probably I was too naughty for them to take along. But I said to my Masi, Masi be minu, I really, minu aa chahida hai, na, minu iddan da leke aa. But they bought a really funky one, like the native instruments, complete control. He had all these lights that used to flash on it. And to be honest, up until I think I hit the age, and I'm talking when I'm 12, up until the age of maybe 20, 24, 25, that keyboard stayed with me. And used to have normal Duracell batteries or whatever they were, put them in, and I was more than a Punjabi music fan. I was a fan of Hindi music. So Hindi songs used to come on TV. I used to actually record them on little tapes. Those of you guys that don't know what tapes are, I can't even explain what tapes are, but Google it out and you'll know what a tape is. And I used to record these when the film used to play on a VHS recorder. I used to go and take a little a tape recorder, my mum's one, press record, and record all these songs from, I don't know, Sholay, from Tarmveer, and my favourite ones, mind you. And at that point, I didn't come back into bed, and I remember putting my little headphones on, Walkman headphones I nicked at that time, from my Walkman, put them at the back with a 3.5 millimeter, and I used to just try to copy those tunes. And my mum being into satsang heavily, we used to have, I'll mention V and Hunters. Their grandmother and mum used to be like best friends, and mum, Bibi, we used to call her, Bibi used to come quite often to practice their satsang rehearsals at the time. I had a thing for Nagin. I don't know why. I absolutely loved that tune. So the first thing I was ever taught in my life on a keyboard, and by that time I could play notes, but I didn't understand them. And I said, Bibi minu Nagin sikha, na? And she goes, come here. And I think if anybody's taught me anything on the first time in my life, it was actually V's grandmother, Bibi, and bless her, and the most lovely woman. And since then, I know she was a grandmother, but because she was mum's kind of best friend and mum really highly respected her, she just came and throughout until she sort of passed away a few years back. When mum used to say, go and pick Panji up, meaning Bibi. Used to go and pick her up. And you know what? Used to sit there, and the most basic of, 3 notes. And she was taught properly. People highly respected her. But I used to just be very intrigued by the harmonium, baja. And mum used to sit there, look at her. Later on, she even started teaching my sister-in-laws. She used to teach my mum. But no guru. She wasn't no guru to me or anything. She was just Bibi. And little did I know that Nagin tune is going to move on to other things. And when I slowly started picking up on notes, then I could pick up, stuff from Sholay, Tanveer, all the classic old films. And I still love them, to be honest. If you said, where's my background in music? Yes, you guys probably know me for Bhangra music. But my love for music is Bollywood. Not the most recent Bollywood, I would say, but especially the Muhammad Rafi, Kishore Kumar's, that era, I absolutely love. So basically, as like I've already said, as a youngster, I was very heavily into this thing that looked like black and white things on a strip of on a keyboard or a synthesizer. So now we're moving on to when I'm starting to hit about 12, and my brother's band. One of my brothers was a singer, still continues to sing at family occasions. And I always chuckle over it. And the other brother became a manager of the band. And we had some amazing talent locally in Bedford. But because I was this 12-year-old kid, and who's got this little Casio from keyboard, and I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. At the age of 12, I think it was 10 or 12. I can't remember. No, it was definitely 10. My grandmother used to give me £5 every week, and £5 for me to spend. So she spoilt me, and £5 used to always go into my Woolwich Building Society. So when that hit, when my brother and them made this band called Nazara Group from Bedford, if anybody's ever heard of them, I wanted to buy a keyboard because I used to see, what inspired me. If you say what inspired me, obviously the Punjabi music industry was getting massive. Bands like Allah were killing it. DCS. I mean, I know these bands were big, but for me, I don't know why I was always just focused on the keyboard player. People like Danny Taranji, I used to look up to him, but they see the Music Machine came out. I used to, I remember going to weddings locally and just standing next to Rag, love you, mate, one of the best keyboard players in my opinion. Used to go and stand next to these guys, Bhutta, who's still playing with a lot of the other bands these days. At that time, he was with a band called Satrang, and even Safri Boys wasn't even around. So you got people like Bhutta, you got people like Rag, you've got Nikki Patel from Apna Sangeet. And forget the songs, I'm just standing next to them, this little 12, 13-year-old kid. And they've got, the first keyboard player's got like 2 keyboards. Then you've got Nikki Patel, who's got 3 keyboards this side and 2 keyboards this side. And the keyboards just intrigued me. And they intrigued me so much that this £5 that my granny used to give me every month, my nanny such I absolutely battled with it because £350 going back in 1982, 3, 4 is a lot of money. And, I'm just crying like a spoiled kid that I want a keyboard. Don't know which one I want, but I just want one that looks this big and the one that's got black and blue notes. But my first keyboard, I actually didn't go and buy. my brothers went and bought it for me with the money that my that with the £5 that have been saved up. So there was about £350. £350 is a lot of money. It might not seem something today, and you could barely buy anything of grand structure or a keyboard, or a known keyboard. So they went and bought this massive keyboard, Korg Trident Mark II. Absolute classic. And I was speaking to somebody about it the other day because I had to go and get my battery exchanged. And he said to me, Popsy, and by that way, at that time, I wasn't even known as Popsy. It was Indrajit. So Popsy came about. I mean, it's a long story, but we'll get into that later if you want. So they go and buy this keyboard, and I think it's massive. I mean, you know, in my bedroom, I used to I've always had a bedroom downstairs, and I've always had a keyboard set up, and I had this amplifier set up, and, you know, I used to plug it in. And to be honest, didn't know what I was doing. Those Hindi tunes used to come back up every, I think, Thursday evenings. Danny Chirangi from DCS by that time started doing the BBC Asian Network. Those used to come on, and I used to hear the Punjabi songs, you know, get the old tape player out and press record. Play and record used to be the way you had to press. These days you get your phone out and you just press record. In those days you had to press both buttons, play and this little red button, and then you can record onto tape, mind you, not on digital. And again, just carried on doing that. So that was my first kind of thing that I realized that I had a bit of love for keyboards. And then from there, I think it's the momentum started building up. Coming back to the brothers band, I know I'm shifting around all places because the story, it just can't be told so simply. So my brothers, they had a band, you know, 3 singers, a drummer, a talkie player, congos, a guitarist who was one of my mates from a band called Bombay Talkie. And I will get into that in a little bit. And, you know, I used to be sidelined. I was this little kid who knew notes, who used to play a bit of keyboards at home in a bedroom, mind you. And I always wanted to go on stage with them, but I didn't know what to do. And they were, you know, we had a singer that sang all the Bollywood songs, the classics. Then we had my brother who used to do all the Punjabi Giddiyan Di Rani, the DCS ones, then Nukur Ke Main Sharab Vich Pee Lawan. Then we had God bless his soul, Vasaki, who used to do the pure Chamkila stuff. So at that age, I started getting a flavour of everything. Now, I'm a massive fan of bands like Alap, Hira. That's my era. That's where I grew up. I got into people like Kuldeep Manak, Chamkila, Sukshinder Shinda many, many years. Probably the boat had already gone, way out, and I got into that music very late because I'm known for hard-hitting sarangiyan, tumbiyan, toes, tolki, table. That's my sound. I'm not a hip-hop producer. Yes, I can do it. But my fond of music became totally opposite to what I was listening to. And that happened out of, by mistake, I would say. So that, you know, and then I think the next chapter starts, and the family started in my band, my brother's band started taking me along to shows with them. I was always a sidelined person. You know, they had a keyboard player, but I was the little kid who you could I bought a stand, mind you, got saved up my £5, went and bought a keyboard stand. And so when they used to sing, all I was told by Uncle at the time, and he actually rang me a few weeks last week, and Uncle used to say, "Anu dabde," and he used to play with one hand. But I always saw these other musicians, keyboard players, playing with 2 hands. Yeah, and I thought, Romney, Uncle is telling me, you know, what we call a C sharp minor, D sharp major, or whatever it is now. Tu phad ke rakhi bas. That's what I used to do. I used to hold those notes, yeah, and then I thought, forget that, I'm going to try holding different notes. And then, you know what, as a kid, I want to learn more than those 3 notes. You to come back home, go onto TV and see what other notes I can play with this particular song, and slowly started picking that kind of thing up. So I would say, yeah, at the beginning, I wasn't allowed to play pieces just in case I totally screwed things up on stage. I was a chord master at the time. And yeah, so, and then things changed when I go to university. That's where the big step came in. To the music center. This is where basically I buy all my stuff from. A small little music repair center where you can get sort of do things that you can't get on Amazon. Like even from my wiring, even my wires, believe it or not, even my wires are handmade. I couldn't have them any other way. Trick handmade wires, 4-core. MC Electronics, which means all of this, yeah? And here's my mate Luke. Oh, yeah. And if you guys want to know where we get those wires built when you come to the studio to sing, he builds them. And that is Big Papa there. Yeah. And I love this place because you know what it is? Breed, look at this kind of stuff. Amazon will not do this kind of stuff for you. You know what I mean? Abhi dekho. A mixer here, mic here. I actually like this place, man. We used to be coming here when we were kids, you know. I just love this place, mate. A lot of people think I may be self-taught. Obviously, the Pairvi, the very basic rags I know now because of my friendship with people like Sukshinder Shinda, who kind of got the baton out on me a few times to say, look, sekla. But I didn't. I am self-taught, though I've had inspiration, a lot of inspiration through, like I said, mentioned people like Sukshinder Shinda. I got to know him very, very late in my career. The very, very early in my career as Popsy, but late in the sense of I didn't have people like him around to teach me what it was. I remember going to the Gyani once, my local Gyani at the Gurdwara. Bibi had already told me Sare Kama Padani Sasani Da Pamagare and all that. And the Gyani was kind of repeating what Bibi showed me at home. So I think I went to the Gyani maybe twice, and I'm not lying, I got bored because I wanted to play like these keyboard players in Apna Sangeet, the DCS, Sahotas were starting to rise up at that time. And Mukhtar, massive fan, as you already know. And I was looking up to these sounds, and I needed to unleash a little bit, and I wasn't able to do that by going to the Gyanis. But I think if I was going to say to anybody where they should start, absolutely you need to start, because I had the worst habits, and I was fortunate to have very talented people around me who kind of corrected my mistakes at a very early stage before we started hitting the band, when I joined bands. So please, and a lot of people ask me, can you teach us anything? And I can't teach you anything because I've still got those habits. I'm self-taught. So my finger movement, though it might be fast on stage, but it's wrong. And to be honest, I wouldn't even consider myself to be a great keyboard player. I'm not. I'm just somebody that had a love of music, got into the right place at the right time, a lot of jid. Yeah, but that £350 in 1984 or 1985 is a lot of money. And I think maybe not even eating roti for 2 days, and my mum goes, "Nuliado." Yeah. You know, we're going to Woolwich Building Society, taking that original bit of money out. So yeah, just to kind of answer my own question, no, I am self-taught, though I've been guided by some of the best people on this planet. Okay, I'm 13 years old, and at school, just getting into sort of middle school, and ਸਾਡੀ ਭਾਬੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਇੱਕ from Walsall. And the family came down to visit us and they were invited to roti after the marriage thing and all that usual kind of thing. And I've never met her, but we had, at that time, we had just bought a little German Shepherd puppy. you could see where the Popsy name comes from. Literally, the dog was called Rocky. It was our first family dog. And first, mum has always been, because my mum's background is she's Punjabi Malaysian. We got my nana side of the family is from Malaysia. Yes, Punjabi, from India originally, but she grew up born and bred in Malaysia. Dad's from Punjab. So, she's always had dogs, so she agreed to letting us have a dog. And I'm the one that fought for it. So literally, the little puppy, and I think it was only 4 weeks old. Somebody might have just disregarded it somewhere, but my sort of picked it up and brought it to Bedford from Birmingham, and I spent all my time with it. And when the puppy and the family came from Walsall came over for lunch or dinner or whatever it was at the time, and she goes, "Oh, that's a lovely puppy," and someone, probably mum, the puppy ਕਰਦਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਮਤਲਬ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸੌਣਾ, bring him in the bedroom and all that, Rocky, yeah. And she goes, "Oh, I love that name." She goes, "I'm going to start calling you Pop." So originally it was Pop, then it became Pops, yeah. And then when I went to Birmingham, the word Popsy came out. And the one that came after that was the Music Machine, and that is given to me by the all great Sukshinder Shinda. He'll, even till today, if he comes to the studio, he'll never say Kuldeep Popsy. He'll always say Music Machine. Yeah, so he gave it and it stuck with me, and probably, I don't know, maybe a blessing in disguise that he gave me that name. And I know a Music Machine, but it's just a lovely name to have. So I've just finished college and I have to go and choose which university I'm going to go to. And I particularly applied for Birmingham. And the reason I wanted to go to Birmingham was the bands, which is a stupid decision, actually, which turned out to be a really good decision, because from that point, it kind of created the person I am today. I did apply to London, but I was more of, I think the Punjabi music industry was based in Birmingham for me anyway, even though you had all Premier Larps and Hiras back in Southall. So I applied and I got into University of Central England in Perry Bar, Birmingham. And I spent 4 years there doing economics and marketing. And the first week I got there, we had a family friend at the time. His name's Jassa, and for a short time, he was the doll player for DCS, and we were close family friends. So I rang Jassa up and I said, "Jassa, I'm coming to Bedford. I'm coming to Birmingham to study. I've got a Korg M1, and a Korg M1, anybody knows, this amazing keyboard. It actually revolutionized synthesizers as we know them today. I've got a Korg M1, and I've got a W30 sampler. W30 is what I think Pradesi, the music machine, built Pump Up the Bhangra around, yeah? So I like I've already mentioned, massive fan of rags, so I went and bought the same kind of keyboards. So Jassa now knows Mishi Shara. Mishi Shara is a very close friend of Sukshinder Shinda, who, trust me guys, I haven't got a clue who Sukshinder Shinda is at this time. And Ambi is Mishi's, Ambi Bilga we're talking about. Ambi Bilga is Mishi's Ishara, the band's manager, but also they've grown up together in the Tiranga Bhangra team. Yeah, Tiranga, I think. So He goes, Pops, I've spoken to Mishi. He's going to come and see you because Ishara have already had some massive hits. Ambar Sariya, to mention one of them. And Gidde Vich Bach Ke Na Jayenge, and I love that sound. So I'm at university. It's my first week. I'm trying to get into a band, and I was fingers crossed because just as in DCS, Shin might just say, "Yeah, bring the new boy on the block around." But it didn't happen with DCS. Sukshinder Shinda, Ambi Bilga, and Mishi turn up at my University of Central England at my dorms. And I've got all my keyboards set up. Cha chadya hoya. Mishi from Ishara's coming. Didn't know who Ambi was, but he was a great guy. We hit it off straight away from the start. And this guy with a patka on, an orange patka, tracksuit, seemed like a freshie to me at the time. Sorry, bhai. Sorry, yes, freshie. And at the time, that's what he looked like. Shinda was the most simple person. But, like my dad used to wear it. And I thought, the young kid, he must have just flown over from India. They walk into my dorms, and if you ever speak to Ambi, he'll tell you a funny story. But I used to love my Coke, 2-litre Cokes, and Mum had stacked me up. My top shelf where you're supposed to put clothes was all Coke. And Ambi actually tells the story a lot better. So 3 of them walk into the studio as courtesy, as Mum and Dad have shown you, pani puni pilao, Coke soda pilao. And he goes, Minu san, and Ambi told me later, many the sanu hasai jave. We've come to see you, play and see what you can do, and you bloody pulling out 2 litres of Coke. Yeah. And anyway, I played them what I know, and Ambi didn't say too much, and Mishi didn't really say too much, but Shinda goes, and it stood by me, and I think I still agree to what he said to me that day. He goes, "Theek hai, par main tere hath siddhe kar." He goes, "Theek hai, par main tere hath siddhe kar." And what did he say? "Theek hai, par tere hath siddhe karne wale hai." Yeah, theek hai, par tere hath siddhe karne wale hai. Meaning, I'm self-taught. So my fingering on the keyboard was totally wrong. So that week, Ambi gave me a CD with all of Ishara's big hits, some other songs, Boliyan, Tappe and all that. He goes, "You're playing on Saturday." So this first venue we went to was just across the road from the uni halls. Ambi picked me up, went and set my keyboards up, never practiced with them never practiced with the band. 0 practice. They just expected me to play. Now that band was made up of some classic musicians in the music industry. Classic. Sukshinder Shinda, as you know, as the vocalist and the music maestro, as I call him, and most of you do as well, was on the tabla. I was not the classic person. Little kid from Bedford. I'm on the keyboards. Then you got Raju from DCS on the bass, and whoever knows him. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. I'm 90% that Palla was there on the guitarist, again from DCS. We had Dave from DCS on the drums. I mean, by that time, bands used to mishmash around. The musicians used to, you're one big family, so it doesn't matter which band you play with. If you're performing with your own band, you can be hired in to perform with another band. Dave on the drums, Ambi, the Tall Crusader on the Tall, and that was the Ishara band. It was great. So that was my first ever performance on stage, I would say, professionally. And I remember those days we used to get paid 40 quid, 60 quid or whatever it was, I can't remember. And the first time I'd done the gig and Ambi came and he gave me 40, I think it was 60 quid. Mate, 60 quid to a person at uni, that's like 2 weeks bloody food, you know what I mean? And I don't know why, Ambi still laughed at it. They say, he goes, "Baad vich to bahut muh uddiya hoya si." He goes, he goes, "Jiddin main pehli wari tenu paise padaye, kehna nahi paji, theek hai ne." And those are honest words. I said no to that money because me inna cha si that I'm on stage. And again, I didn't know I don't know who this guy with the black turban, beard, is a, and everybody's looking up to this Shinda Paji, yeah. Sukshinder, everybody's looking up to him, and I'm just treating them as a normal tabla player at that time, not realizing who this guy is. And and I'm thinking, oh damn, I'm playing alongside Raju, the bass player, Balla, the guitarist, Dave. DCS have always been one of my childhood sort of idols. The whole band was, yeah. And I'm playing on stage with them. I was probably crap. They're probably thinking, oh, bang. But I must have been okay for them to keep calling me back again. Then we done 1 gig, 2 gigs, 3 gigs, and then enters Jazzy B's band. So Umbi is obviously, it's a massive clique. There's a whole group of us, 10, 12 of us. Umbi was managing Jazzy B, who I'd never heard of. I didn't know what Kugiyan da Joda was. I don't think I only got to know Jazzy when the London Patola album came out. And so by this time, a band is like a family. Yeah, I've never treated the bands I've played with, I lie, I've never treated the Ishara and the Jazzy B band like a band. And none of us have. In fact, if you ever spoke to any of them, we weren't a band. We were family. And we very quickly became family. Every day after uni, I'd be sticking around with Umbi, Joggers, Shinda, Mishi. Yeah, a year had gone past, and then Jazzy B's makes this entrance. So Umbi goes to me, you're going to be playing with us tonight, because one of the other keyboard players from another band has either let them down or couldn't make it for whatever X, Y, Z reasons. You're going to be playing with us. And you don't say no, because you're not a band, you're a family. If your brother tells you you're playing, you're playing. You don't ask, you don't question the money, you don't question times, or anything. You just go. And this guy, Dorchester in Wolverhampton, if any of you lot know it, they used to have a lot of daytimers in those days and night-timers. And I remember it, the Dorchester nightclub in Wolverhampton. And I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. But this time, Shinda's off the tabla. Sukshinder Shinda is come off the tabla. Now he's playing keyboards. Yeah. And I don't know these songs, but by this time, Shinda's saying to me, what he used to say to me, he'd say D sharp, C sharp, E, F, F sharp. That is it. It was for me to figure out if it's a F sharp minor or F sharp major, or if is it a pervi or whatever it is. Isharasi. After I learnt the hard way, yeah. So we turned up at the Dorchester. The keyboards are set up, and this guy turns up on stage. Never seen him in my life. Baggy white jeans, baggy cream top, bandana, and hair. Whoa. It's like it's been somebody's massaged a hell of a lot of gel in it, yeah? With the whole quiff and everything. Elvis, Indian Elvis at its best. Yeah, no friendship, don't know the guy. And soon as he walks on stage, damn, it is fireworks. And I'll tell you, man, my head was just on the keyboard. I used to look at a keyboard and it used to look at Shinda. That was me done. But on that day, I was looking up, because this guy was flexing his moves, doing whatever he has to do. And the crowd were vibing with it. He had this little, he's not a kid at that. I think it must have been 2021 at that time. 22 maybe. And he's killing it. Absolutely killing it. And now you're thinking, whoa. Yeah. So at that time, first time I met Jazzy. Later on, after the show, went to where Jazzy used to stay. And it was the kebabs, takeaways, jo matlab hunda hai, or even on the way home it'd normally be. And then chilled out. Munda theek hai. No friendship here at the moment. I'm now friends with Shinda, Ambi, Mishi, joggers, but Jazzy, I've only played with him once. I don't really know him. I don't know how to take him at the moment. And slowly, and as I said, slowly, Jazzy's manager, Ambi Bilga is managing both Jazzy B and the boys and Mishi Shara. Most of my early years in Birmingham was Mishi Shara. Then when Mishi didn't have a show, then it'll be go and play with Jazzy. By 3 months, we were like finishing uni, going to Kidminster, where Shinda made all the massive hits with people like A.S. Kung, famous studios, Terry, Pete Ware used to be the engineer. So Roji, every day, bro, I'm talking not just one day, every day for about 4 years. Luckily, my parents bought me a car, being the sport one, the youngest of 5 at home. But I don't think mum wanted me to travel around in buses. Every day, finish uni. You know, sometimes uni is just one lesson. 11, 12, 1, 2 भी बज ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ. And the phone call the night before, Shinda will say, "Aaj main hun aaya Bromsgrove, not Kidminster, Bromsgrove, famous studios, or Coventry Planet Studios, which now Tom has given away, yeah, or sold. Finish uni, 5-6 pound da tel bharana, straight to, if anybody knows the drive from Birmingham, Perry Bar, all the way to Bromsgrove, mate, that's a 45-minute drive there and back. And I used to do it daily because I just wanted to be in the studio. That's all I gave a monkey's about. I didn't know what he was creating, yeah, but that was every day. And then I got to know people. I mean, if you don't, anybody that doesn't know Pete Ware is the guy who made, with Deepak Gazanchi, was the engineer on Best Wishes from a Lab. He worked with Deepak Gazanchi on Diamonds from Hira, Hole Hole. Yeah, all the stuff down south, all end, Pete Ware was involved. And now I'm seeing, I've heard of this name because I'm a massive fan of Deepak Gazanchi. And so, yeah, I got to know Pete a lot. And slowly, going to these every daily sessions, Shinda's busy now. He's making stuff like, he's basically producing daily. He's doing the A.S. Kung, Desi Boliyan, which we all know became a sensation. He's playing rhythm on some of the biggest tracks in the world. And I'm at these sessions, and then he starts recording at Bromsgrove, London Optola album. Yeah. And occasionally, I'm not saying on that particular album, but occasionally Shinda will say, "Chal, tum kar ko chhona." And again, it was always, you know, if I had something to say, I'll say it. Always reluctantly scared of him, scared as a brother, older brother, but because he's a music maestro, man. But he'll say, "Okay, what do you think? What kind of chords should be put in here?" By this time, I'd already kind of developed my own kind of style inside me, how I like to play. I like very hard in sounds, a lot of brassy sounds. But I had a softer side where I like the string side as well. So I sometimes used to say, "Put some strings down," and I used to do that. And yeah, so that I didn't realize that probably somewhere down the line, it was he nurturing me into becoming a producer. You know, and so I've done that for many years with Shinda. And then we used to go to, you know, Planet Studios. I got to know all the engineers there. You know, the great Tom Lowry. Now, if you don't know Tom Lowry, that's from Planet Studios, which, like I said, he's already sold out. He sold it now. Tom worked on some of the Bali Sagu's Choralia. Most of the recordings of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan were done at Planet Studios. Yeah. And I'm now sitting with people like Tom and only observing observing, what is this computer? And I couldn't get my head around the damn Atari 1040. Anybody that knows Atari, I hated it. I did buy one, but it sat in my bedroom for years. I just couldn't get my head around it until Apple came along. Anyway, I'm digressing. So yeah, so I worked in a lot of studios with Shinda. Then we used to go to, there used to be a Bagge studio hunda si. And that used to be, we didn't have computers like we got now. Things used to be recorded on these big spools, that thick spools. And I remember Shinda left me at Bagga studio once with Terry. It was used to be a guitarist, a great guy. And he goes, "8 gaane de vich keyboard bajaune hain." I didn't do 8 songs. We barely got through 3 because, on my computer, on my M1, I had 16 tracks and I could quickly punch something in and quantize it. But when you're playing on a reel, you are Mr. Quantize. You understand what I mean by quantize? If you play a note here or there, slightly before, slightly after, you can press a button today, and that particular note will go bang, hit that sort of bar 4x4 line or whatever. And we didn't have that things like quantize, so you had to. And I suppose that was my first time recording. I've done a bit at Bromsgrove, I've done a bit at Planet with Shinda Paji, and now I'm doing some stuff at Bagga Studio, 8 songs. But that's enough. I mean, we had, let me say, those were fun years. Those were the years that I learned a lot. I was observing, and absolutely, it was a great time for me. And I didn't realize that, sometimes I used to get pissed off, bloody Shinda's left me here and he's gone off for hours now. मैं इतने वहाँ की करी जाऊँगा कोड बजा the peace and I'm not a music machine then, just Popsy or Pops, yeah, and that's how I picked up on this. So by this time I've spent 4 years studying, got my degree, and now it's basically, I think it's going to be time to leave Birmingham. But did I? Oh, I didn't. So I graduated from University of Central England, and I was going to go to India with my parents. By that time, all the troubles in India kind of slowed down, or Punjab was back to normal, and mum and dad go, "Beasi chaliye." I really wanted to go India, but I had my own reasons to wanting to go. I wanted to go and get enough vocals to record my own song. So who do I pick? I got to India, and where we were staying, our family relatives, I go, right, how do I get hold of Kuldeep Manak? No, ਤੂੰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਕੁਲਦੀਪ ਮਾਨਕ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ, ਉਹਨੇ ਤੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ. Fine. I said, okay, but in Punjab, there used to be a book, with basically all the artists' names, addresses, and everything. I don't know if it's still around, to be honest. Although they enough phone when chalde hunde si. So anyway, the first person I called up was Kuldeep Manak. Kuldeep Manak Saab, I should say. And before going out there, I started planning in my head which singers I wanted. And at that time, it had to be Kuldeep Manak Saab. Ranjit Mani was another one. But I also wanted some locals from the village. And by this time, I'd started kind of making a little bit of music, yeah? And I was on the way to the studio to help a friend out, Billy from 4x4, on making some. I was going to do some, make a track for the 4x4 dancers from Gravesend. And Billy brought one of his mates who was going to sing on this track, Pyara. And मैं क्या प्यारे भाई गाना दस, मैं क्या मानक साहब तू गाना आ बई तू दस केड़ा, कहंदा भाजी एक गाना हैगा बहुत ही बंब आ. And I thought he's going to say tere tille tom, which I've got a soft spot for anyway, yeah? Or maybe all the other hundreds of songs that Manik Sahib has sang. And he goes, "Kiddiye tu soniye ni maan kardi ni tenu takkana vi nahi." The way he sang it, he had a bit of that touch of Manak Saab in him, yeah? Really high-pitched singer, like E, F sharp. And I go, "Chal, main pata kar lunga yaar," but I've never heard that song. Anyway, we got to cut the long story short, we got to India, started making all the phone calls, and got hold of Manak Saab, who agreed, yeah, and gave me a date in a studio, yeah. And the main studios in those days were Inderloch in Ludhiana, and I don't know why I didn't want to record in that. I still don't know why I didn't. It was like the bee's knees, yeah, but I don't know why I didn't ever go there. Or it was MB Studios in Fagwara. Manak Saab was from Ludhiana, and he goes to me, "Be chal main kya Ustad ji be." I always called him Ustad ji. He's never been my Ustad, but just out of courtesy and respect, I always called him Ustad. मैं कहा Ustad ji आप फगवाड़े वाले MB के अंदर चल ठीक है काका उत्थे मिलूंगे. Turned up there, and what I've done, I booked the studio out for 3-4 days so I can get to some of the lads that I've now heard sing locally, and they're all featured on the Heavy Duty album, my first album, and I said to myself, okay. And we started recording them, and I'm telling you, man, it was totally different. The computers were ADAT, man. Everything was ADAT. I wasn't used to working like that. ढोलकी वाला उत्थे बिठालता, बाजे वाला इधर बिठालता, तबले वाला इधर बिठालता, yeah. 1, 2, and I've still got that ADAT, and the guy's going recording, and he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So that 1, 2, 3, 4 stuck in my mind. And later on, a few years later, up the road, that 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to make Popsy something. Yeah? And in every song. So is and he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and the tabla's going, tabla, tolki going, harmonium's going. And then they finished their bit. And Manak Saab comes and he records. Yeah. And by that time, I think he was a lot older that I remembered those voices that he had many, many years ago. Mind you, auto-tune's not around at the moment. Yeah. Auto-tune's not around. There's some things you can enhance, but not a lot. And anyway, we recorded 3 songs with Manak Saab. Went to Ranjit Mani. Ranjit Mani at that time was a huge star. Yeah, huge star. Ode koti je gaye. And mate, these guys were living like Amitabh Bachchan, what Amitabh Bachchan or Shah Rukh Khan lived like in Mumbai today. These guys were living at that time, 94 time. Kotiyan, man, even we didn't have those pads in the UK, you know what I mean? We're second generation migrants to the UK. We're still building up to get into those. But these guys are killing it. A show, probably 10 shows a week, double booked and everything. Booked Ranjit Mani Saab. And there is always a financial exchange of money for, basically you're paying for them to sing for you. What you do with the music is up to you. So anyway, done all that recording, stayed in India 6 years. One of the sessions that Manak Saab was going to come to record, he came to the session. And little did I know, and on that session, I had the whole day booked, but I don't like working in the evening. So if you know me, I'm a daytime producer, not an evening time producer. Even in this studio, I don't book after 6 o'clock. You're not going to get me in. I only click from 8 in the morning till 6. After that, mate, I'm not there. Yeah. And so one of the days I go to do the recording, I see Bhuta Jagpal. And we are friends by then, because obviously Birmingham, we've been seeing each other. He's been playing with Safri Boys for all these years. And up and Jen, or that cha-cha, I'm not sure which way it is. I see them, kiss, cuddle, and everything going on. Does everybody come here? Okay. The next time I went for a recording, Jazzy B turns up with Shinda to record with Manak. They are there. I think they were going to do Dulla on Shinda's album. Yeah. And I remember saying, "मैं कहा हिंदी में करना है दूजा." He goes, "आना करें करके we're gonna do it." One of the songs that they were planning, they were gonna do Tere Tille To, I think. Yeah, with Manik Saab. So I said, "Damn, I wanted that song." But who's gonna argue with him, yeah? So I recorded the same tarja, Ambada Buta, which is on my second album, Larger Than Life, which I made it into a duet later on anyway, with Avtar Maniac. So we recorded him, brought these things back on ADAT. How the hell am I going to convert them? We had to go to Planet Studios. He then hired this ADAT machine from Bhuta Pradesi. I think he had it, if I'm not wrong. Tom Lowry did. And we got these little, they're no more than, how can you say, little camcorder tapes, yeah? So they got, you press play on this ADAT, and you know these big, massive spools that you've seen in the old retro studios. From ADAT, they got converted on all the stuff that I brought back, the tabla, torki, harmonium, algoze. Tara Chand played algoze on that. One of the best algoze players, but called rest in peace. He's no longer around. And yeah, so we press play on ADAT and we're dumping, that's what they call it. We're dumping all the audio we brought back one by one. Oh, is it a MIDI dump? Dumping it on a spool. And that's how I was able to extract all the data, all the Manik Saab data. And I've still got those ADATs to today. They don't leave me, yeah? And I've got the big spools as well. But I'll have to probably go to Abbey Roads to even touch them again, yeah? Because I don't know many people that use them. And that's when the first album came out. The first album featured a few artists from the UK. Mishi Shara took the first track with Jalebi Boliyan, who, mind you, there's a story behind Jalebi Boliyan. Mishi wasn't actually, that's from my first album, Heavy Duty. Mishi wasn't actually going to be singing that. I went to look around for Bubble Rai. You're probably saying to me, who the hell is Bubble Rai? Well, he only made the biggest bloody Bollywood track last year, didn't he? Arjanavelli. Totta pane ne jalebi mari, akh vich tel pa gaya. You hear Bubba Rai's version, it is sick. And at that time, I was heavily into I went everywhere looking for him. I looked in the books, couldn't find him. I spoke to my cousins, couldn't find him. I went to the studios that I worked at, and the musician, मैं क्या बब्बर राय किथे है यार? भाजी पता नहीं. मैं क्या यार, I want him to redo Totta Pane Ne Jalebi Mari, which for me is known as Jalebi Boliyan today. Couldn't find him. Until Animal Film came out last year. Yeah, and that guy's still alive. माफ करना बबल भाई. मैनू ये दस्या गया सी you weren't around no more. Yeah? Crazy, but that's where Jalebi Boliyan came from. From word to word, we taxed it, I taxed it, Mishi, everybody knew it, man. Party, 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 Madro Godavargi, Bol Chalu Kodi, Hana, Maitara Nazar Batu, and all. I love those kind of Boliyan. And today I love them. Each of my albums has heavily featured a Boliyan track. From the last one, Hyperbole, to Jalebi Boliyan. And I've done bits and bobs for other people, even Ghost Productions. So yeah, you know, and astonishingly, when I did see the Animal Film and Bubble Rai was actually around and still live, it was crazy, mate. So as you guys know, I've made 4 or 5? Damn, I don't even remember myself how many albums I made. Probably about 5, but several singles. Some of the challenges I've faced in the early days, the challenges were finance. I was just a keyboard player at the time, known for Jazzy B's keyboard player. I wasn't known as a producer. But just going back to that thing that Shinda said to me many, many years ago. He goes, "Tere haath thode je siddhe karne wale hai, baki theek hai." So finally, he gave me the Halla Sheri to make the first album, which was Heavy Duty, the Jalebi Boliyan one that we know it, which also featured, I have to mention, was that Manak track that Pyara had told me in the car to go and record of Manak. Kiddiye to Soni Ani Manak Kardi. And 20 years later, after that song came out, I spoke to Yudhvid Manak. And this was before Yudhvid had his accident or became unwell. And he goes, Paji, he goes, Jere daddy di website nahi, matlab Kuldeep Manak Saab's website. He goes, Pehla gana, when you go to www.Kuldeep Manak, the website, he goes, Pehla oho gaane de naal entrance hundi hai apni. And that's been on there since you made the song. And I thought, wow, seriously? But yeah, apparently the song done really well. Manak Saab had it on his website. So I was really pleased with that. But yeah, I did feel a lot of challenges. I felt challenges because the finances were never there. Heavy Duty, which was a 6-track album, I think the budget was about less than $2,000. I had to pay for the vocals. Paying Manak Saab, who's the Michael Jackson of the Punjabi music industry at the time, paying him a massive portion out of that budget, it hurt, stung me. But, I wanted to do it. Jid si meri. But Manak Saab nu record karna hai, you know what I mean? How many people can actually say? They can say it now when it became so accessible, yeah, he can come here, record vocals. At that time, he was not that accessible, yeah. You had to know something about music for him to actually drop you a vocal. Because when we recorded the first song, Kiddiye Tu Soniye, he goes to me, Kaka Baja mere naal. He called me Kaka a few times then, and afterwards he called me Popsy when he got to know me, and we had that friendly touch about each other. And I sat next to him, and and by the way, I have to say this about Manak Saab. That song, he couldn't even remember it. He knew the song that he'd sang it maybe 50s, 60s when he was first starting out. Yeah. And when he turned up to a studio, the guy used to turn up with a techi nahi hunda, a proper India suitcase. Yeah. He used to turn up with a suitcase. And what was in that suitcase? No, it wasn't Chada Cup or anything. They were bloody books. The guy had sang so many songs, he couldn't remember the word. Can you remember thousands of songs that you've sang? And some that haven't been released? Bro, we spent about an hour in the studio because copy is another word. The word copy is another word for a book, yeah? Because the guy who came with him, and it wasn't Yudhi that turned up, it was maybe his driver. He goes, Kakabi, oh gana lab. And he was going through books and books and books of lyrics that he had sung, yeah? Finally, he found it. So I've actually got the full version on ADAT, or probably on Spool, where ਉਹਦੇ ਅੱਜ 6 ਜਾਂ 7 ਅੰਤਰੇ ਆ ਉਸ ਗੀਤ ਦੇ. But because of the times had changed and people didn't have that thing about sitting there for 7 minutes listening to the whole thing, I think out of all the vocals, I think I chose maybe 4 antre or 5 antre. I'll have to listen back to it, to be honest. It's been a while to find out how many antre we recorded. And that was some of the stuff that he was showing me. He'd not even know. He goes, Avi hai gasi gana? That's how much, mate, like you would have a camera bag, a photographer has a camera bag. The guy turned up with the same type of suitcase full of books, or what we know as kapiyan. So anyway, that was the first album, and the struggle has always been finance. We didn't have a lot of money. You are going to, if you want premium artists, you are going to be paying them premium money. Even the artists that weren't premium, trust me on this. And this is one of the parts that pisses me off about this whole Punjabi industry, if it is a Punjabi industry in the UK. there was a point when, even if you didn't have anything, Movie Box supported me mega. Before that, I was signed up to Camly Records, which then got taken over by Movie Box. And I had a very, and to date, still have a really positive relationship, a really good relationship and friendship with Shabir Saab, who's the owner, and Kamran, who now runs it. Shabir Saab is retired. But I can understand if the albums aren't performing and you're a new producer, you don't. They can't just invest thousands of pounds into you. So a lot of those 3 or 4 albums that I done, yes, there was a little bit of couple of £1,000 here or there, financed by the record label. But again, if you wanted the best of the best you can afford, yeah, you would have to pay for those artists to come and sing. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of them didn't deserve a bloody penny. And they know, and you know which ones I mean, yeah? You didn't deserve a penny. And that's why, no, I'm not the biggest arsehole out there, but that's one of the reasons I don't work with you lot today. Because when I was starting out, you lot kind of treated me like shit. Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah? And Horner, from that boy who didn't know nothing to Popsy Baji, you know what I mean? That's a big difference, bro. And it makes me chuckle. These artists, I wanted to work with them because they were I was a fan. But sometimes when you meet your superstar, yeah, you'll quickly realize if he's a complete arsehole or you want to fall in love with the guy. You know what I mean? And anyway, so that comes out, I have had struggles, and then I had more struggles, even with the second album, Larger Than Life, which was named by a really good friend of mine, Jazzy Sidhu. He named the album Larger Than Life. Probably saw my size and said, "Larger than life, mate. You are larger than life, huh?" And we started recording on that. And again, I kind of kept in with the circle of the finances I could afford. But something special was going to happen on that album. Yeah. And the special thing that was going to happen to that album was I wanted to record a song, and I heard it somewhere. Mok gay fin the beach on Yaro. But I wanted to funk it up a bit. And I wanted to, I don't know, I had a piece in my head. I had this keyboard piece, and it goes back to my sounds of having strong brass sounds, yeah? Or like a piece, and every time I used to get my phone, and I might be driving, and I'd go, and it could be well out of tune or whatever it is, but I've got that piece, and I've got hundreds of them. So if you ever need my phone, I want it back, yeah? And I made all these pieces up, but that song, and I wanted it done by Aftar Maniac. Because in the UK, I think the only one who sounded close to, Manak Saab, I felt at that time was Aftar Maniac, who was already blazing the live scene out, yeah? So we called him, and again, money exchanged hands, money that I didn't have, money that my parents gave me, £300-400 at the time, I think, for 2 songs. It's a lot of money for me, when you got a budget of only 15 to 2 grand, Larger Than Life. And we recorded a track called Mokagefin the Beach on Yaro. Didn't think nothing of it, bro. Absolutely didn't think nothing of it. My good friend Sukshinder Shinda, मैं क्या ऐसे भी एक गाना है यार ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਢੋਲਕੀ ਤਬਲਾ ਤੇ ਢੋਲ ਵਜਾਉਣਾ ਪਰ ਐਨ ਤਿੱਖਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਰੱਖਣਾ. I shouldn't really say that, but the guy just smashed it, yeah? He played it, that brass piece that becomes so synonymous, yeah? Everything worked. The Lagose on that were the ones that are recorded on a different song back in India in 94 by the great Tara Chand. Because I couldn't afford hiring somebody in. Yeah? The other songs on that album, it's probably my worst album, but the biggest song was on it, yeah? Was I had to take my nephew harps, some of you guys might know him, to play on the album because I couldn't afford to play percussion. I couldn't afford to get tabla, tolki, tabla on all the album. Harpreet was a kid then. I think he must have been barely 14. So I took him to the studio and I said, "Ya chakka de fatte." And he played on some of the tracks. But Shinda Paji is the one who played on Mokka Gaye Feem, the Beach on Yaro. That album comes out. Little did I know, little did Avatar Maniac know, that song, and I don't like to blow my trumpet, but that song is a legend. It's a legendary track. And 2 years had gone past. Nobody said, nobody knew. And I think I've had words with Cameron about this. I go, who the hell did you sell this album to in India? We ain't got my effing name on it. Yeah. Nobody knows who's effing singing on it. Yeah. No bloody effing video. Yeah. It's absolutely killed. Every song that year, all leading up to those 2 years, it's flattened everybody out. You can be Jazzy B. You can be all these big singers, Sukshinder Shinda. But Mokka Gaye Feem was the track that was being played, not once, not twice, requested a lot of times on every wedding. And that's when we realized Mokka Gaye Feem isn't a hit. It's what you call today a super hit. And we didn't get credited for it. And it pissed me off most of my career. And then seeing family weddings. But ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਦਾ ਗਾਣਾ ਵੱਜ ਰਿਹਾ, and you lot don't know that little fat shit sitting in the studio is the guy, and you probably heard my tone there, is the guy that produced it from scratch. Every piece, Shinda Paji, like I said, played the percussion, and nobody knows it's us. And now I'm going to forward back to just before Mokka Gaye Feem 2 came out, and the reason it came out, we got an inkling from someone that somebody is about to release Mokka Gaye Feem. I know the people, didn't approach them, yeah? And within 2 weeks, I totally revamped that track and we released it. I actually rang Cameron up. I go, Cameron, whatever happens, we are releasing this, yeah, and we are making a video for it, which Sector on Media smashed it, yeah? And that is the story behind it. But that is one track, and why we pushed that track out as much as we could. But there are people, mate, in this industry that will drag you from your kacha and drag you right down because they do not want you to succeed. They know who they are in India, in the UK. They don't want you to succeed. In fact, a lot of your close friends don't want you to succeed. Anybody calls me Paji, trust me, I'll let you know on camera now, I don't really trust you. Because you've actually, this industry really knows how to pull you real down on the bad side of it. And you know, and that's what happened, mate. And so I hate re-releasing songs. Absolutely. But that one song I had to re-release. And today, and only last couple of weeks back, acha, aasi video us gaane da. And what they done, Preet, they took off the new version because they're still massive fans of the old version, and they put the old version onto the video of the new version and released it. They go, sanu pata hi nahi si bhi that video bhi hega. But I don't mind because both songs are mine. And I think at the time it really pissed Avatar Maniac off. Nobody knew. It's probably his biggest song of his life. I would still say it's still my biggest song, even though after that we released the mega track Nog 2 with Jazzy B and Singhah Diyan Gaddiyan. Yeah. And then after that, you know, then the ball started rolling that some of the artists that were kind of putting your nose at you started looking at you and wanted to work with you. So the story comes, we've released 2 albums. The third one was Bangin'. And again, the same story happened on Bangin'. And this time round, luckily, the firm I worked for decided to sponsor the album. And they paid, what, 3-4 grand. Movie Box threw a little bit of money into it as well and promised some videos which they delivered on. But again, bro, 3.5 grand, when you're paying £25 an hour to a recording studio, it just goes like that. Then you have to pay singers on top of that. Yeah? Musicians on top of that to get that kind of full-on Popsy sound. Yeah, I'm a keyboardist. I'm not a dolgi player. I'm not a guitarist. I'm not a tabla player. I'm not a dolgi player. I'm not a lagoja player. I'm not a sarangi player. So these people have to be hired and they have to be paid. So, and I'll tell you what I had to go through when you're talking about hardship, yeah? Today I've got this studio, I can have whatever I want. I've got saxophones lying there as a showpiece, and at one time I couldn't even hire a saxophone player in because the budgets weren't there. Not that my family didn't have the money to support my ambitions or my what I wanted to do, yeah? It was just, I didn't want my family to put money into something that was a hobby for me at the time, yeah? So banging, the same scenario, mate. And I'll tell you the funny thing, it was a Babooman track, yeah? And I didn't have the money to, again, call a percussionist in. And I did use the resources of family, my nephew, who I would say, great door player, but he's not a trained, he's learned of Sukshinder Shinda now, but at that time he was very young. And I used him on a lot of the album, yeah? Shinda Paji I used on one of the tracks. And Hair was a very close friend. I got him to play Tabla Tolki on one of the tracks. That was the Hassan, no, not the Hassan one. That was the Lember one. Gidde Vich, which done very well as well. So what I had to do coming back to Babooman, I'm a big fan of his. So I went, and I used to always take a note because I knew I didn't have the funds to actually afford. I can't abuse people like Shinda. I know if I asked him, he'd come and play Tabla Tolki Tol on all my tracks, which he did. To be honest, he's mostly laid a lot of my percussion down. So has Tabsy, so has Juggy. But now times became different and easier later on in life. That time, I went through Babooman songs and I used to take a note of them and say, "Aa gaane de vich vadiya tol vajjaya," and there's a place there where there's no music, and I can nick that. Yeah, it is stealing. I can nick that and use this on this song. And I did. And I've done it on a lot of songs. You are basically ripping other people's doors up because you're keen on the sound, but you can't afford for a percussionist to come in. There's no way I could afford it. The record label, God bless the Movebox, they were great with me, to be honest. But I think they've treated me better than I would expect, probably have treated anybody else. They stood by me and continue to stand by me till today. They're not my record label. It's a golden handshake. If they say to me, do something, I will do it for them out of pyar, friendship and mutual respect. Yeah. And so I ripped off a lot of songs from, I ripped off a lot of beats from what used to come out from India. If it had a Siddhi Chal, dig tak tak tak, and we all have done it. Because I tell you, nobody can say to me, that guy's a thief, because we're not. The Punjabi industry in itself are thieves, because we've nicked Giddyan Di Rani Tolki on absolutely every song. And we continue to use it. It's debatable who actually played it. Yeah, only Kang Saab. I've actually asked Kang Saab that, and he did say to me it was recorded, I think, at Charanjit Ahuja studio. Mate, I would do anything to get the original. So after the 3 albums, that was Heavy Duty, Bangin', and Larger Than Life, or the other way around, whichever way they are, I started work on Hyper. And by this time, I had a little bit of a name out there because I'd made a lot of ghost production work. I had done a lot of ghost production work as well as the first 3 albums seamlessly done okay. And I was working with slightly bigger named artists. Then went back to Movie Box, and I said, got an idea. This is what I want to do on Hyper, and we're going to bring Jazzy B on board on this album. You can imagine I'm his sort of official keyboard player for the last 10 years. I've toured the world, but I've never done a song with him. Yet other producers, probably Shinda and Aman Hair, probably had the opportunity of working with him, but not me. So I did ask him, and he agreed. And I did say to him at the time, I will make the music. I know what I want to do. And if you don't like it, I will scrap the song. So basically, we were going to start a Hyper album. And I've asked, I know exactly the artist I want to get in there. It's going to be an 8 or 9 track album. I don't know why the 9th came in, but I did at the time see a lot of albums that were going to come out with the 9th track. They said it was something lucky. I don't know. Maybe so. But there was a track that came out, and it stems back. There was a track that came out, Manke Tutte Jandeya. And I think, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain Sachin Hujja done the music for that. So I rang Sachin up, and we got on like a house on fire, and I said to him, I go, yeah, the chorus, I wasn't interested in the female vocal or the music. I was interested in the chorus that was in there. Yeah. And he goes to me, but Baji, I don't know who they exactly are, but ring Jaydev Kumar up. And Jaydev at that time, I believe, was in Mumbai. And I said, mate, the guy's going to think I'm a bloody donkey, innit? He doesn't know me. I rang Jaydev up, got his number, rang him up. And I tell you, the guy was solid, really, really nice guy, very helpful. And without Jaydev Kumar, the music producer, he's made tons, practically, I think he's made tons of Punjabi songs in the movies. Good as gold. And he obviously, he knew my name. He knew of me. And he goes, Popsy, we used, and he made a song actually as well with the same backing chorus in it, which was the person we know as Jelly Manjeet Puri. So I said to Mecca, you done a song in a movie with a guy called Iddu Sharif. Yeah. And I go, now I'm talking like way back, yeah. I go, who was the chorus? Yeah, he goes, it was Jelly Manjeet Puri and his team. Mecca, buddy, can I have his number? And he goes, I haven't got it on me now because I'm recording. And he thankfully picked my phone up. And he goes, but ring me back later on this evening and I'll give it to you. Rang him back, had a little chin wag with him, and called Jelly up. That is where the friendship started. All I wanted to get was a vocal from him. I didn't really know him as a Tumbi player. I didn't know him as a Tumba player or a lyricist. All I know that he had a decent vocal on him, and that he had a really good, solid chorus background. That's where our friendship started. And during the conversation, he probably tried to sell me something. And he goes, Pipaji ek gaana. I said, yaar, tu mainu hana. I always use the word Taddi Rag. I said, yaar, main ek gaana karna. And I didn't mention Jazzy's name at the time. Actually, I didn't mention Jazzy at all. I need a couple of songs. And B, can you help me out? He goes, yeah. I said, ek Taddi Rag che tu bana. Yeah. मैं क्या पर हाई पिच गाना है कोरस भी मैं क्या ਉਹਦੇ ਉੱਪਰੋਂ ਕੋਰਸ ਆਉਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ yeah and he goes ठीक है so Jelly started sending me a few songs across and the song that Jazzy was supposed to sing yeah Jazzy kind of said no to it yeah he said no to it for some reason and he actually I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to anybody but he actually declined Nag 2. He declined it. And I said, and I said to him, and don't get me wrong, this song was not called Nag 2 at this stage. It just happens to have the word Sapade Bache Lamakate, yeah? And anyway, so by this time I'm producing music, going in and out of Planet Studios, working with Tom as the engineer on it. And one day Shinda pulls in to the studio as I'm leaving. Yeah. And me and Shinda, if he was in the studio or I'm in the studio, we wouldn't care. We would just walk into each other's studio sessions, yeah? And it always remained confidential. So I wouldn't come back home, oh yeah, he's working with this person. It was nothing to do with that. So Shinda walked into the session and I was working on this song for Jelly Manjeet Puri. Yeah, he was going to sing it because Jazzy B had declined it. And he goes, nahi. He goes, Papa, bhai, aa gana, nahi, music machine. He goes, music machine, aa gana, ye aapa Jazzy to karwana. मैं कहा यार वो मानता नहीं. He wants the other one. बिलोनी तेरे गोरे रंग ने. Yeah. He goes, he's agreed to do that. He goes, nahi. He goes, ही तो गाना है ਉਹਦੇ ਲਈ. I go, fine. I go, when he comes to dub it, have a word with him. Yeah. So Jazzy actually came to dub a different song. Yeah. But when Shinda said, no, we're going to dub this one on Jazzy's vocal. So that is where the starting of the Nag 2 thing began. So on the day of the dubbing, I said to Shinda, मैं कहा शिंदे भी तू यार Jazzy नाल आई उदन ते तू ओदी dubbing बैठ के करवाई. The guy's done, they've done super hits after super hits, man. So what, you know, first time I wasn't scared, because if you're going to be a producer, you can't be scared of, doesn't matter how big the artist is. I wasn't scared. I wanted to get the best out of Jazzy by the best person who knows to get the best out of Jazzy. If you get my gist, yeah. So Shinda was there, you know, normally my nephew Harps and Shiv. Mate, Jazzy started singing it. And, you know, I've got so used to Jelly's voice on the original, because obviously when he declined it, he was going to sing it, that I was finding it hard to accept that Jazzy voice on Nag 2 at the time. And anyway, after an hour and a half, and Shinda didn't, I'll tell you, man, I've never seen that magic happen there, even though I've been in sessions. But when it's your own product being built, it's you need it to be bang on, yeah? And Shinda got the magic out of him, yeah? He didn't mix it. We got the vocal and Shinda left and Jazzy left. And that was the end of them for that moment. And then it came to doing the choruses. And I rang Jelly back. And I go, Jelly Paji, you know, we twisted the songs around. Can we twist them once more? You get what I mean? So Jelly was now going to do Billoni. Jazzy was going to do Nag, what we call Nag 2. But because Jazzy didn't like it, we switched it around. Then Shinda came in and said, no, mate, we're going to make Jazzy sing that. And the day of the dubbing, when the song got dubbed, yeah, and we started cutting the vocal up, yeah, meaning when we say cutting, choosing the best bits from it, yeah, Shinda goes, "Aa gaane da na Nag 2 rakhna." I said, what? Not me. So if anybody thinks that I abused the friendship, I did not abuse it. Yeah, Shinda did not produce it. I'll categorically say on camera today, Shinda did not produce a single thing on Nag 2 that was a full Popsy Music Machine production, yeah? Because I've been accused of that as well. Because it sounded like Shinda. Yes, it was his percussion, but I got Shinda to play what I wanted on it. Plus, I had my own beats that I always have a layer of beats that I put together. My tools, my standard tools are mine. And I joined them up together, but then I played those and I wanted to get that slightly bigger sound, the Shinda sound. I got Shinda to come and just play a few bits and bobs, which I cut up and added onto there, yeah? And anyway, Shinda's given the name Nag to it, and I'm mate, don't get me wrong, I am shocked that he even mentioned it. He's allowing me to use one of Jazzy's bigger songs to date, yeah, in the Punjabi market. The thing that actually took Jazzy from a certain level to a superstardom level overnight in Punjab was the track Nag. Not London Patola, it was Nag, yeah? It was actually the third track on his album. And they put it third because probably even the company, I think at the time, whoever it was, in Mumbai said, even the video was a bit crappy. Yeah, it's only later when it became a super hit, they changed the original Nag video to a bigger budget one. So Shinda gave the name, they walked away, and then I rang Jelly back and I go, Yar, the song's sounding sick, yeah? I've programmed it the way I want it. Here it is. But now I got Jazzy to sing it. And mate, I'm going like this, yeah. Because if he said no, I would have to take that song off. Yaar, Jaban bhi koi cheez hundi hai, yeah. And he goes, and Jelly killed it by saying, he goes, "Mainu sochne de." Mate, I couldn't go to sleep, man. I go, the guy sang the song for me. Shinda's spent hours, we've been hours in the studio dubbing it. We've done it without his permission, but I have to ask him, yeah, inni aank ta bande vich honi chahidi hai. Jelly came back. He goes, "Chal main billoni tere gore rang ch main ga danna." Main kaha, "Bhai, tu ga de. I promise you I will get a video made for it." That was the kind of the deal I kind of had to make and be fair with him as well, yeah? Otherwise, Nagtu was Jazzy's. Or sorry, Nagtu was Jelly's. He's the lyricist. Anyway, I went back and coming back to the story, I'll go, "Give me some killer backing chorus." Main kaha, "Ag la de ek wari." Pure Taddi rag ch auna, yeah. Taddi, simple, Tad, Sarangi, and a bit of Toll, man. That's all I want on it, yeah. And that's all it is, basically. And he came back with it, and as soon as I put the vocal all together and everything, bang, we knew it was going to be a big song. I knew, I had it in my heart, you know, super hits or hits aren't, you can't create a super hit. They just made. Yeah, the super hits are just created, man. The theme, I didn't have no hope for it. It was just a song that I really liked. Yeah, but it's become one of my biggest songs. Yeah, and anyways, that album got released, and more and more people from India started ringing me. The Ghost Productions came running in. I was constantly busy working with some of the biggest artists, but there is that issue with working with bigger artists, because I'm not saying this about my close family friends, people like the bands that I've worked with. I've never had no financial issues with them, but the bigger the artist, they won't pay you a single penny. They think they can demand. Yeah, to say, "Yaar, assi tena kaam karna, tum bahut vadde fan hain tere." Yeah, a bloody fan when you don't even, another song comes out. When's the last time you liked a bloody Instagram post? You don't. Chop muh chak ke bhej doge, bhai ji, kar do share. Yeah, but when it comes to you sending, bhai ji de bonde te lat maar de, and that's the way this industry is. They genuinely don't give a shit unless they can mature something out of you. You know what I mean? Hence my sabbatical from the Punjabi industry. And that this just doesn't go with artists. Even people, so-called industry, again, I keep saying, yeah, what industry is it? Gaane banaunde, you got the UK industry, Canada the industry, Punjab the industry. Bloody music is music at the end of the day, yeah? You'll get people ringing up, "Bro, big fan, love to work with you." When's the last time, guys, you have hit the like button on any of my videos? When's the last time you actually commented and said, "Well done"? And the ones that do say well done, they won't do it publicly. They'll say in the messaging thing, we're kind of BSing behind Popsy's back. And you guys all do that. We all do that. Probably I've done it to someone. Yeah. But yeah, so mate, anybody sends a message out now, unless I want to do it, I will not share your post. Yeah. Because nobody supports you, mate. Not even your closest allies support you. Your clique, meaning people around you, will support you. Yeah? I've worked with artists where I've put my heart and soul into the songs. Yeah? And I've been called from the so-called industry who wannabes, yeah? "Oh, why are you working with that guy, man? Waste of bloody time, you know what I mean? He's not going to do shit." But he paid the wages. He played, certain artists paid for their tracks to be made, only because it's not a Diljit, Amivirk or Jazzy B production. I'm still going to put a Popsy 100% production in it, value to it. That's why these people keep coming back to me. But you will never get a like from I'm talking about the UK industry. You will never get a like from the UK industry. But ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਐਲਬਮ ਆਉਣੀ ਆ ਹਨਾ ਜਾਂ ਸਿੰਗਲ ਆਉਣੀ ਆ, they'll fucking kiss your ass. And don't delete that word, don't delete that bit out, because I am that strong about it, yeah? They will then kiss your ass. They'll keep sending you messages after messages, yeah? But when things were shit for me, yeah, or I was working with an artist that it didn't favour them, yeah? Mate, nobody is going to give you a single like, yeah, or a share, or a tapi. What they will say, they'll say, oh, mate, if Jazzy had sang that song, it would have killed it. Maybe it would have killed it, but I'm sorry, it wasn't a Jazzy song. You know, if Shinda had sang it, it would have killed it. If Sukshinder Shinda go and get... Well, if you try ringing, the guy won't even pick your phone up. Yeah? And, you know, some of these so-called top artists in Punjab, it's like they've become untouchable. Jauna de chamche are in the centre, yeah? So you got the artist here, you got the producer here, then you got the chamcha here. Yeah? ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ chamcha ਨੇ, mate, you see that? They put a block there because you can't get to the artist. And what they it's like they'll treat you like karai da tattoo. Yeah? You will not get through the doors. And if you get through the doors, yeah, you're making everything for free. So if you say to me why I don't give a shite about making music for XYZ, I make more music today than I've ever made in my life. I'm recording more artists today in this studio than I've done in my entire career. I'm recording violins, cellos, and you guys just see the YouTube reviews, but what you guys don't see is the artists that pay me today to come into the studio to record. And unfortunately, most of them aren't from the Punjabi music industry. नहीं यार तू ऐदां कर You give them a prize, नहीं यार हाँ आ कोई प्राइस है मैं फलाने को I won't mention the producer मैं फलाने को 600 पाउंड च करा लूँ मैं can't do it then पर मेरे को क्यों ने जे 600 ਪਾਉਂਡ ਚ ਦੂਜਾ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਫੁੱਲ ਲੱਗੇ ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕਰੋ So you know what you basically say. And I've done this, and I'm not going to say people ring you, and because you don't want to work with them, you just say stupid price to them. You say, yeah, I charge $6,000. I'm going to charge $10,000 a track, when you really don't want to work with them. That's the singers I'm talking about. Then you'll get the singers, but you really want to work with you. And it comes back to that thing. When's the last time you effing bloody even liked a post of mine? Je tu mera inna vadda fan hai, and then we're big fans, we really want to work with you. But that's what they'll say. They'll never say, but you really want to work with you, but apni budget ki hai na? That word never comes into play. Yet they want to work with you, but they don't want to talk about money side. Yeah? Well, mates, somebody has to pay for this upkeep. You know, like you go to work and you do your 9 to 5, yeah? You do your 9 to 5 and you get paid. You can't say to your bosses, yaar, or your boss can't turn around to you, or if he did say to you, yaar, aam meena thoda aukha hai, tu 2000 to main 1000 tenu de dunga. Yeah, it's not going to work, is it? It's not going to work for you. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't work. You go to work, you have to feed your family. Everybody has to feed a family. So that is don't get me wrong, yaar, I love this industry. I still love the Punjabi industry as a whole. But there, a few small peaches make it a bit of a shit feel for some. And it's like I haven't touched a Punjabi song under the Popsy banner, yeah, I would say for, God knows, maybe 2 years. And it's not that I don't produce Punjabi stuff, it's just that I don't have the Popsy name to it. Those guys still pay me to do their music, but pay me, go do what you want, mate. That's all I give a monkey's about. But you will know when a Popsy, it's not that I'm probably taking a sabbatical from my name. मैं कहड़ा उत्थे कोई चांदी तो हुज्जा साहब है. I'm nowhere close to them. But you've had enough talker from the industry, yeah? It's like even my brother a couple of days ago, oh, Pops, hear this song. I go, sir, I couldn't give a monkey's, mate. If I like something, I'll listen to it. You know, Diljit recently released, what's that bloody song called? The way he's doing the pony on the judge, I can't remember it, man, but it's a sick tune, yeah? And I love that track. Karan Aujla's, he released a track a little while ago. Love it. You know, these guys are on my playlist. I listen to everything out there. I still continue to make music. I actually make music for Punjabi producers sitting in India, the ones that you guys, well, some guys say that are killing the industry. You know what I mean? Are absolutely ripping the industry apart. But I'm still producing, all mixing for them, all making their beats here and sending it across. I just choose to do it on a ghost production level. The money keeps coming in. That's fine. And that's just the way I am. So, mate, I will be coming back. I haven't gone anywhere. I'm actually making more music today. You know, I wouldn't be updating my computer system to another 4 or 5 grand computer if I wasn't making music. The point is, when you guys ring, I'm talking about singers, yard, and I'm primarily, or any producer, a DJ that wants to get music made. When you ring somebody, pay the people or ask them what it is. Don't expect, because you're a fan, that guy's going to make music for free. It doesn't happen like that. That's just my little run. But you know, Babbe ne bahut ditta, in all honesty. I love the music industry, love working with the people in there. But there's a few sour, I think I need to get this off my chest because I've never mentioned it to anybody. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is. I haven't gone nowhere. I'm still making music, but I have taken a different route now. I am now also reviewing products on my YouTube channel, Future Shock Studios. Put that in there, Future Shock Studios, where I'm working with a lot of brands. You know, I do mic reviews, lighting reviews. And you know what? A couple of years ago, I didn't even know how a proper camera, professional camera worked. And today I'm reviewing for some of the biggest brands in the world. So this studio is no longer just a recording studio. It is primarily a recording studio, but it's become more than that. This studio is much more than that. We do videos in it. We do recordings in it. We do reviews in it. A lot of vocal recordings. People come and record their instruments. We've done Netflix movies where we've dubbed vocals. We've done primed books. There's not a lot that we haven't done. Done choirs we've done some African choirs that have come from Zimbabwe, Nigeria, massive thing, South Africans. Mate, I couldn't do this if I had the mentality or I industry. I tried my best to develop out of it, but still keep my roots. Do you know what I mean? Most of my mic reviews, you'll always see a tabla player 100%. It's one of my favorite instruments. You'll always see a sarangi player come here and there. Guitarist, tumbia, if I can get one in. But yeah, mate, it's the diversion's been great. ਹੁਣ ਅੱਜ ਦੇਖ ਲਾ ਤੂੰ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਹਨਾ ਯਾਰ, with whatever I'm saying, where we started off and where Punjabi music today is. Punjabi music ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਅੱਗ ਲਾਈ ਪਈ ਆ, ਮਤਲਬ not even just in Punjab, throughout the globally. You know, when you get the people like Ambani's calling Diljit down and Diljit's ripping it up on stage, yeah, on Diljit, yeah, then you've got people like Karan Aujla filling out stadiums, yeah, and Sidhu Moosewala, God rest his soul, you know, he was that's a sad loss for the whole industry. Massive fan of him, never had a chance of working with either three of these, but if the opportunity ever arises, you know where to catch me. But yeah, it's phenomenal, yaar. Agge hana hasde hunde si Bollywood wale. Bollywood used to laugh at Bollywood used to laugh at Punjabi music at one time, and now ohi khich ke leke aunde a artist udron, apniyan tarjan vartde a, apne piece vartde a, hana ਢੋਲ ਵੀ ਯਾਰ, without a Punjabi singer, कोई फिल्म ਚੱਲਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ I mean look at Tauba Tauba for example ਕਰਨ ਔਜਲਾ ਮਿੱਤਰਾ ਤੂੰ ਐਨੂੰ ਛਾ ਗਿਆ ਉਹ ਗਾਣੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ killed it bro I'm telling you I had that song on repeat I think for at least a week man his flow on it the way not just his flow music ਦੇ ਸਾਥ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹਨਾ ਤੇ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਡਾਂਸ ਸਟੈਪ ਵੀ ਮਾਰੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਆਪਣਾ ਹੀ ਸੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹਨਾ ਵਿੱਕੀ ਕੌਸ਼ਲ You know, the whole Punjabi package is killing it, man. So, yeah, proud of the music industry, what they are doing, and the fact that the world globally are now listening to Punjabi music. And I think it's going to keep growing. You know, there's always that thing about, you know, UK industry's dead, but the artist, Ativ, haje vi aunde a, you know, karwan cheejan. Don't get me wrong, it's just not only Toronto, and Toronto are killing it. North America is absolutely smashing it as well. But, you know, UK's not dead. All the artists still want to come here and work. And again, India producers, singers, writers, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਜੀ musicians, Punjab, Bollywood, Delhi. I've worked with most of them. A lot of my stuff, I do a lot of stuff in the Bollywood stuff. I do get a lot of musicians to work for me in Bollywood. And I tell you, it's great. And again, I use them everywhere from globally. Yeah, somebody asked me once, they go, what's your favorite style of music? Yeah. And my answer to that was, well, I think I was a teenager then. My answer to that was simple. Anything that sounds good to my ear. When we first started out, we like I said, I just had I didn't have a computer. I got into programming very, very late in my life, yeah? And that is all thanks to Guruji, YouTube Ji. Yeah? The YouTube, honestly, man, nobody's taught me how to program music. I know what I want, I just couldn't lay it down at one time. That's why I used to use engineers like Tom Lowry, Darren, Jim Meikle, you know, I used to use different... They used to lay it down, but I'm the one who used to say, people like Bally Sagoo, even if you speak about Chiralia, yeah, I don't think somebody like Bally Sagoo would have programmed it. Well, I know he didn't program certain parts, the B lines. What would happen is you hire a studio, and if you're fortunate to get somebody like Paul Civil, an amazing guitarist, he will play your bass line in. And I'll tell you, I worked with Paul on a lot of my tracks. He's a great guitarist, great engineer. And we used to speak about Jalalia for some reason all the time. That was his like claim to fame, yeah. Because he even recorded Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. And yeah, and he used to say to me, I go on, hit that B line on Jalalia. Yeah. And he used to do it all the time. And all it was a 909 sub, which at that time, to be honest, Bally Sagoo thought of it. He might not have been a musician, or I'm not sure if he's a musician. A great guy. Yeah, but the guy had a concept, an old Hindi track, yeah, and coming back to technology, old in Hindi track, modernized it with the Bally Sagoo touch with Paul Civil. Phenomenal, mate. Hana? And in the like, if we say Aaj da daur kiya, ਉਦੋਂ ਕੰਪਿਊਟਰ ਹਾਰਡ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਲਿਆ ਸੀ Atari 1040 ਪਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਚਲਾਉਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਇਆ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੀ ਆ it was just nasty piece of kit yeah Atari then suddenly Apple came in and when I started the Hyper album that is the first time I actually started programming and nobody taught me it. I used to sit there as you're going okay Tom can you move this part here start cutting things up. And then I went into it definitely, you know, for a long, you know, I used to come home all my nights. People might watch movies. I used to watch Professor YouTube, yeah, where honestly, hours to hours, how to do things. And, you know, if I get into something, I need to know it 100%. And today, you know, so today you can go and buy a £2,000 MacBook Pro, whichever, mini MacBook, £600, yeah? Put Logic on it, your favorite, I don't know, Cubase, Pro Tools, whatever you want, yeah? Learn it, and you can start making music from home. But you will still need a professional environment to record better quality vocals. I wouldn't say brilliant vocals, better quality vocals, depending on the singer. You will need an acoustically treated room to get your mix and mastering correct. Yeah. So everything is possible. And that's where I rate the new generation of producers. Most of them are doing that. Most of them guys are just producing on a pair of headphones. Good luck, man, because we didn't have that opportunity in those days. Studios, fatte chakke pe, see the cost. But now that, and like I said, 2-3 grand, you guys can produce a track for 50p at home, as long as you've got the computer. In fact, forget for 50p, you can produce it for free, which is great. So anybody now can pick up a computer and start work. No problem. And you don't have to go to the big record labels like we had to at the time. So my advice to anybody that wants to come into the industry, you got to pick up the phone to anybody. You must have a friend who's in the industry. Yeah. Releasing music is so easy today. Yeah, you got people like, I'm not promoting them yet, DistroKid, all these TuneCore, and there's hundreds of them. Before, you had to have a record label to get your songs out on Apple Music or Spotify. So if somebody gives you the BS, oh no, it's going to cost you this, it's going to cost you that. Yeah, the initial layout is you buying a computer, probably a pair of headphones to begin with, because that might be your shank. But if you're seriously going to get into it, you'll develop it. Because this studio took me, I would say, almost 25, 30 years to get to this stage. Yeah, you do not have to spend too much money. Like I said to you, 13.90, 15 pound de mere headphone hunde si, and I produced a whole album on it. But at some point, one thing I want to say to the youngsters, yeah, or the new generation that are going to get into this, there's going to come a point where you can produce brilliant music at home, but to get that little finesse and that touch of class, finish it off with a mix mastering engineer. That's all you have to do. And don't let anybody tell you anything else, because it's a load of BS. There was a part of my life when I tried my best to work with certain artists, yeah? And you were always getting a kick on the backside. You'd ring your closest friends up and you'd say, yeah, I really want to work with this artist. Huh? Yeah, Pops, it's about 2-10 lakh, meaning 2,000-3,000 pound at the time. Yeah, and then when that didn't materialize, then you start working with whatever comes along to you. So I started working with totally anonymous newcomers to the industry. Yeah. And that's when I was being told, you're wasting your talent on these people. Yeah. And I found it pretty rude. But who are you? Well, you're nothing to begin with, yeah? But who are you to judge anybody who's trying to make a go of themselves? Whether it's crap, totally shite, not going to work. And you know what? Some of these artists never got no love from the industry, yet got more love out of UK. Luttan nu phirde si loki, you know what I mean? And it happened over and over again. But I continuously worked with, I actually do like working with a lot of newcomers. Yeah, because you can express your own freedom in the music that you provide to them. And at the same time, I have always been a hardcore, I want to say, probably a hardcore Bhangra producer, slightly on the versatile side, where I love my dance music. And if you don't know me, I'm a massive fan of reggae music. I always try to implement some of that in my music. There came a point when, for some record labels and some other people as well, yeah, your music is slightly out of date, yeah? And my view was that the day I'm out of date is the day my phone stops ringing. And actually my phone has gone off a few times, but it's on silent due to this interview. And it continues to happen. But I'm not going to make music Yeah, only because ਹੁਣ ਫਲਾਨਾ producer drill music ਬਣਾ ਰਿਹਾ. Yeah, I could produce drill. I could produce hip hop. Yeah. But the problem with this industry also is, and it's a funny one, after you have one hit in one genre, you're cliched in that. You are, they're going to say, ਯਾਰ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਤੂੰ ਨਾਗ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਜਾਇਆ ਸੀ ਹਨਾ ਉਹ ਐਨ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਫੜਾ ਦੀ ਯਾਰ that is like I said hits aren't made, they're just created. ਕੁਦਰਤੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਚੀਜ਼. And if you try, and I have tried it, and don't get me wrong, a lot of the producers out there have tried to recreate that sound or got close to it or even taxed it or called me, out for taxing. Yeah. How can you tax music, man? Music is an inspiration. If somebody tries to copy my song, fine. I'm happy with it. Because I must have inspired that person somehow. But I don't want to copy. Yeah, if you done something and it inspired me, yeah, I would love to use it. And it did. A lot of things inspire me. Reggae, hardcore, desi. Kangi Tolki inspired me on many tracks because XYZ producer used it and I liked it. So, if I'm answering the word about pressure, yeah, you always get pressure. You get pressure from... you're pressured from sometimes the fans out there. They want to hear the same dissy stuff. Then you're pressured by the record label sometimes saying, yaar, thoda ja purana style ho gaya. I've got one album sitting there, totally completed. I've been paid. One of my best albums, never been heard by anybody. I've been paid. The record label paid me. The artist couldn't keep to his word. It's never seen the day of light. Apart from the only people that have heard it are very, very close friends of mine. And yeah, it's my best work. And we're talking about pressures from the outside industry, yeah? It was one person, and he's not even a video director. He's an actual filmmaker, said to his friend who sang this album, oh, yaar, Popsy ne thoda desi style music kita. Yet this singer came to me, left a massive producer to come to me because he wanted the Popsy desi music. Hence why I stayed there. But again, we branched a little bit out because when we chose about 18, 19 songs and we stuck to about 9 or 11, I should say. But what the guy said to me, he goes, I want the Popsy touch. I go, we'll have the Popsy touch, but we'll have a little bit extra, few other things, a bit of dance in it, a bit of reggae in it, yeah? But I'll promise you we'll do everything, core bhangra. And when the album got made, jada video director hai na, ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਯਾਰ Popsy ਨੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਦੇਸੀ ਬਣਾਤਾ. And because of that, the album got shelved. The record label, me and the record label have spoken about it. I've spoken it. We've had a triangular conversation about pressures from external pressures, yeah? And you know what? A film director should stay to what he does best, make films. And this guy is a good film director. And I absolutely ripped him apart when I heard it was his. He's the one who told the singer that is too dissy. Let me just add on a final off because I don't want to keep dwelling on that part, yeah? So rewind forward another 10 years. That same video director, yeah, sent me his own son's stuff, yeah, to say, Paji, add karin beat jida tu Popsy style karin. And you know what I said? ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਮੇਰੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਐਲਬਮ 10 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਈ ਆ ਤੇਰਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੁਣ ਤੂੰ ਆਪਦੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਦਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਕਰਾਉਣ ਲੱਗਾ ਆ I ripped him, man. Why not? So you know what I mean? It's not, mate. You do get pressures. And sometimes within those pressures, if you want to work with an artist, I'm a desi head. You want to come to me for music, man. Talk about tols, tolkiyan, table, sarangiyan, tumbi, tumba, and algoze. Yeah, and I'll rip it up for you. Or I'll try my best to do it, yeah? I don't want to produce... I'm not a hip-hop producer. If you want to do that, then go to somebody else. There's hundreds of brilliant hip-hop Punjabi producers out there. ਜਾਂ drill ਕਰਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ drill ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਨਿਕਲਿਆ ਆ The only drilling they need to do is put a drill in their head. But there you go. That's me going off the story a bit, yeah? So if I wanted to collaborate with any one artist, who would it be? Yeah, I think it would be quite easy to say the word, but it's impossible. Absolutely impossible. I always wanted to do a track with Sidhu Moosewala. But unfortunately, he's no longer here. Apart from that, I think Gurdas Mann is probably... I have definitely worked with Kuldeep Manak on a number of songs. That is something I needed to get out of my system. But if I had two people, it'd definitely be Sidhu Moosewala, but which is impossible now. And also one person that's possible is the living legend himself, Gurdas Mann ji. So sometimes you're asked what legacy you're going to leave this industry or the world when you leave. For me, I would like to be known for somebody that was honest, genuine, and kept to my word. Because ਆ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਆ ਨਾ, ਜਾਂ ਲੋਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਸ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, they don't keep to their word. I personally feel I've never let nobody down. If I've taken on a project, I've taken it on from my heart. And some of the singers that I've worked with, they will let you know, even though they've paid me whatever they've paid me, just to complete it to the standard I want, lastminute.com, I don't mind sending that final track to somebody else to mix, and it might cost me another £300-400, because when I've taken that actual project on, and it happened when I wasn't happy with it, the artist was totally satisfied, but I did say to him, I go, let's release, give me another extra week, and what I want to do, I want to try one more thing with it. So I went back to the drawing board, and I started changing a few things around, and I sent it to the singer. He had the option of version 1, and he couldn't thank me enough. And I think, so what I want to leave for this industry is that Popsy is not full of shit. He delivers on what he says, yeah. And ek gal hai meri, yeah. And this you can bring up anybody in India and ask them. If you're going to be doing a Popsy production, work on a Popsy production, the money will land in your bank the time within 30 seconds to a minute from you saying yes, agreeing to it. That I can tell you. However, I've been screwed over, fucked over hundreds of times. I've still owed money by massive names. And that's a shit thing to leave behind as a legacy, even though when they perform on stage, there's गाने निकलदे आ, है ना, हमेशा कहोगे यार तुम कि ਨਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਰੱਖੋ, ਬਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਨਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ 'ਚ ਰੱਖੋ, yeah. So honest, mate, that's one thing I'm going to leave. Honesty, integrity, I'll keep to my word, I will never fuck you over. Outside of music, one of my biggest passions now, and has been for several years, but I just didn't pursue it, and I didn't have the time, the money, or anything like that to pursue it, was, believe it or not, filming. I love making videos. Hence, I got this YouTube channel. Yeah. I didn't know nothing about it. Sean Kundasi birthday party, and they get their old camera out, shoot a bit, come back into iMovie at the time, mate. And I start, put it together. Oh, Popsy ne video banati birthday party di hai. But that I don't know. It must have been a little seed in me that was saying that you enjoy it. And now it's so accessible with all the latest technology to pick up a camera, get this little thing out we call a memory stick or a SD card, put it into your computer, just drag and drop everything. And that's what I've got heavily into now these days. Apart from creating music, Doing reviews for various brands, globally recognized huge brands worldwide. What I absolutely love: cameras, videos, photos, photography. And I know it doesn't seem like me, but it is, unfortunately. I'm the most boring person you can find. I love going for drives, absolutely love movies, and I love driving around. Absolutely love it. You know, to Canona, what do you do in your leisure time? I'm not being funny, yaar. Come here and just totally chill. And you know, all the pressures of, you know, our company makaya, our company makaya, any project nahi diti. Yeah, I'm an early bird. Wake up at sort of between 6:30, 7:30, sometimes 8 if I push it. Very early bird. And you know what? You come and chill out here on the early days. And even sometimes I'll come here, get my camera and just take photos of, I don't know, the swans, the birds, the flowers. ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਕੂਨ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਆ. Very chilled out place. But if you said to me, choosing one thing that I'm passionate about is my family. I think my family, especially my mum and dad, God bless dad, he passed away during the COVID time, I should say. Miss him to death. Yeah, I just love spending time with my mum now and my immediate family. And I think the more time I can spend with her, and this goes for all of you guys out there, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਰੈਂਟ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦਾ, ਕਿਰਾਏ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦਾ, ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਉਣਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. Yeah, make the best of it while you can. I'm busy in the studio, but you know, I really wish, and I'm starting to reduce work. I've only speaking to my sister about this last night, that I'm trying to reduce work so I can spend more time with her. She's 80 years old, God bless her. She's just hit 80 ਦੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ, and I want to spend as much as time as I can with her. ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ, ਜਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਊਂਗਾ ਜਾਂ you know ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਚੱਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਆ. But while she's here, I want to be able to provide everything, all the happiness I can give her. Because to be honest, without my parents, I don't think there would be a Popsy. I don't think any other parents would have given me the go. You know, tu padhya likhya hai, tu job jaake kar. I had a really good job. I had a 40-50 grand job before cutting everything out and coming to here. So, you know, I'm now pursuing my, I'm absolutely pursuing everything. I don't work for money no more. Yeah, not saying that I'm a millionaire, so don't come and rob me, yeah? I don't work for money. I work for anything I'm passionate about. I only work for people that I'm passionate about working. I choose to work with the people I want to work. So if you've got a polite FO from me, that doesn't mean I hate you. It's just that I'm trying to pursue other ventures. Hence this thing I do with my reviews. And, you know, and I will just cut off. You know, my family is everything to me, and that is it. That is absolutely it. And until my parents are around or I'm around, everything gets dedicated to them. That's it. I feel like I think we all love our parents, you know what I mean? But ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ ਦਾ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਕਰੋ, because like I said, ਕਿਰਾਏ ਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦੇ, ਮੁੱਲ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਣੇ, ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਏ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. ਤੇ don't have regrets saying how much you love them now rather than telling them later when they're no longer here. And I just wish I could say that to my dad more than I ever did. Love you, Dad. So this is Mum, Charan Kaur, or Bibi Charan Kaur as she's known. In the Gurdwara, she's also known as Vadi Charan Kaur. Because we've got so many Charan Kaur in this house. ਮਮ ਅੱਜ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਡਾਕੂਮੈਂਟਰੀ ਬਣ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਵੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ, ਮੈਂ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੀ, ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਆਇਆ ਅੱਜੇ ਕਰਨ. ਤੇ ਤੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਕੁਛ? ਤੂੰ ਹੈਪੀ ਹੈ ਮੈਂ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ? ਹਾਂ ਹੈ ਹੈਪੀ. ਮਰਾਸੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ? ਉਹ ਗਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ. ਅੱਛਾ, ਉਹ ਗਾਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ, ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੁਣਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ. ਅੱਛਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਤੂੰ ਹੈਪੀ ਹੈ ਬਈ ਤੇਰਾ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਡਾਕਟਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਮੂੰਹ ਚੱਕ ਕੇ ਵਾਜੇ ਵੂਜੇ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਗਾਣੇ ਗਾਉਂਦਾ
ਨਹੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਆ ਕੰਮ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਬੁਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ
ਅੱਛਾ ਚੱਲ ਠੀਕ ਆ Anyway, guys, that's Mum. Love her to bits. Unfortunately, can't introduce you to Dad. But yeah, this is our little family. But I have got a very big extended family too. अच्छा एक फायदा मेरा बहुत होया talking about other hobbies that I have, one of my biggest passions, and I'm not going to let you go. I will not let you go. I'm talking my camera ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਨਾਲ yeah. I'm not going to let him go. I've got ਮੇਰੇ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕੀੜੀ ਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ. I love cooking. Yeah, and I'm going to be telling I can cook something out of nothing. ਮੈਂ ਤੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੇ ਬ੍ਰੈਡ ਦੇ ਦੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਵਧੀਆ ਟੇਸਟ ਕਰਾ ਦੂੰਗਾ yeah. And I've just had a passion from cooking for a long time. Like I said, my mum, even though my mum's parents are Punjabi, born in Malaysia, so we've got that kind of South Indian style cooking in the house, the Punjabi cooking. In the UK, we've got the sort of the British touch, and then we've got the pure Punjabi touch. And we've got a hell of a lot of combination of different cuisines in our household. And being able to pick certain things out from my mum, I've naturally learned, cooking. I don't promote it, but yeah, it's a massive passion, man. I love, and to be honest, you ask any member of the family, the kids, I make good Chinese food. Yeah, better than Chinese takeaways because ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਫੁਕਲਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ. And one thing I do have, my mirch intake, man, I'm very on the hot, spicy side. But Preet, I will have to cook you something actually. ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਦਈ ਤੇ ਐਂਡ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਕਮੈਂਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਮਾੜੀ ਜੀ ਐਂਡ ਤੇ ਥੱਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ the food was crap, the food was decent, oh yeah, the food was very good. You'll have to let me know. Loji, I told you I can cook, and now I'm going to show you. I'm going to make some fried chawal, especially for Preet, Sav, and Beyant Singh. When you're in this industry, the so-called music industry, you have peaks and you have lows and highs, we will call them, yeah? And during my life, I've had peaks where Mokagi Fiend, well, that was a massive hit. And I'm glad that people know about that today than they did when it first came out. But when Hyper came out, what I realized was a lot of people started ringing me. A lot of people, they all wanted that sound. However, I didn't really want to give that same sound. Like I said, I love folk, and that's what I produce, but I don't want to copy that sound onto the next song. And the way I stayed, because I didn't want them to think I was big-headed, है ना, बे आ गाना है कि दा चल गया, वो भी Jazzy B दे नाल, है ना, बे, and I found that a lot of people thought, because of my association with my friends or band, yeah, that I might be a bit big-headed. But generally, you guys know, whether you saw me playing on stage with Jazzy, with Shinda, with A.S. Kang, with anybody else, yeah, that I'm a pretty decent, down-to-earth guy, yeah. I personally think I've always remained humble. I'm very approachable, probably the most approachable person in the band. I mean, when we used to do tours, although the promoters probably didn't like me too much, because मेरी डिमांडां बहुत ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਸੀ ਬੇ proper ਦੇਸੀ ਖਾਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਾਣਾ KFCਆਂ ਖਾਣੀਆਂ, me and my trolley mate Bill. But yeah, I don't think fame, I don't think I can actually validate the word fame. I don't think I'm no Michael Jackson. I haven't never hit that kind of, people got to know me and still globally know me, but I've never let it get to my head. ਤੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਘਰ ਆਉਂਗਾ, ਤੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਹੈ, ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ you know what, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੂੰ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੂੰਗਾ, ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਉਨਾ ਹੀ ਪਿਆਰ ਦੂੰਗਾ, ਹੈ ਨਾ? ਬੰਦਾ ਤੇ ਬੱਚਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਦਾ ਭੁੱਖਾ, nothing else. when it comes to creativity, I think I'm just naturally a creative person. If I like a vibe, I'm going to go for it. If I don't like a vibe, I could struggle on a song. Sometimes I might do background scores for a particular movie, especially the South, yeah? And I might come to the studio and then it's not going to go for me. Yeah. For me, creativity is everything, anything around me. Yeah, I could listen to, I don't know, a Muhammad Rafi song from the 40s, yeah? And something might trigger my mind. Yeah. Anything small. I might watch a soap, a drama. Yeah. But I tell you, a couple of months ago, I was listening to a Lata Mangeshkar track. The legend Lata Mangeshkar, yeah? And she must have been maybe 16, 17 when she sang this song. Just about to turn it off, and it could be Savaja. It was like, again, like the Snake Charmer piece. Damn, mate. I got on it. I got that on a loop, and I had to learn it straight away. Because I thought, one minute, that is... I don't think many people have heard of it, but I can twist it around, give it some more modern touch, yeah, and I might be able to flip another decent track out. You know, I have built songs, I've hummed to a track, and I've created a whole piece on that. And then I'm the worst at it, but because I can't, I'm a bad bathroom singer, yeah. So I might get an idea, put it into my phone, dictaphone, writer nu page detta, and I've got stacks of them. Even till today, you know, I can get out of bed at even 1, 2 o'clock at night, and I think I've spoken to you about this to you. And if Jill Minwana Chobaga, I need to get up and at least minimum put it in my voice notes, because you never know. And I've done that, and I've created songs from voice notes. Yeah, definitely. I think I've always been a bit of a dreamer. Obviously, the studio is definitely going to carry on. We're working with more and more bigger brands. My musical journey definitely hasn't finished. By having this studio for a couple of years, I've made good friends in the industry that I want to do more stuff with them. Maybe not all in the Punjabi industry, but I want to actually develop as a musician myself. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is continuously developing. But my biggest problem in developing is I'm spread out everywhere. I want to be great at this. I want to be great at, at photography. I want to be great at making videos. I want to be a great editor. I want to be a great music director. So what's in the pipeline? I am getting offers to collaborate with some big artists. I'm not going to say anything yet until I can. But yeah, there's constant work out there for me. And I'm just thankful to all those that are still continuing to believe in me. So Future Shock Studios was made just after COVID. And one of the reasons it was made, it was cost. It was starting to get very expensive for me to travel out to other studios. Now, what Future Shock Studios originally was, like I mentioned earlier, was just a pure music production suite for me to come and work here. Today, it's become a lot more than that. I'm getting people that want to come and make their videos here. They use me for editing. They use me for music production. They want to come and record. They might want to come here to do a voiceover, the most simplest of things. And what this place offers is just not a recording studio. And I'm being told by people that are just doing voice over work, that they don't want to go to other studios because they think that people do switch off. I'm not somebody that switches off. If you're going to read a book that's like 10,000 words or 10,000, I'm going to get into that book and become a character with you. I'm going to still engineer you the best I can. I've developed myself by the way, as an engineer. I didn't have a clue about engineering, so I've developed that. But what Future Shock Studios brings for you, there's a lot of love in here. It's a very small environment, I wouldn't say overly small, but a very lovely environment, very homely. This place is very homely. When I come in here, it's like me going into my living room. Just, I've got better lighting in here. But yeah, it's a very comfortable place. And I'm glad that when people do come here to work, they see that. You know, it's not just, for me, it's not work. So I don't know how people can take it. But when they come, and nobody's ever refused me this. I always ask, by the way, if you ever come to Future Shock Studios, you'll always be asked to remove your shoes. And the reason is that when we're at home, what do? We always remove our shoes so we feel comfortable. And that's one of the reasons I do it in the studio. And to date, nobody's ever said to me, get lost, we're not coming in. Because when they walk in and they sit on the sofa, Jar, Barney, you know, if mum's well enough, you know, they get treated like Karda Banda would. And that is what you will not get at any other studio. And that's what you will never get. You will never get the opposite of that in this studio, if you get what my gist is. Pyar milna ithe, wo vi inna sara. One thing somebody said to me once was, and it's very short and simple, so I won't go into all the philosophy behind it, yeah? Aussie, every day is a school day. Please take that away with you guys. Every day is a school day. And when that person, it was a she actually who told me that. It was a colleague that I used to work with. And she turned around and she goes, every day is a school day, meaning be apa hamesha sikhde rahiye. Yeah, and I thought, wow. And you know what? You know, people have these funky little quotes. I think my only funky quote is, every day is a school day, mate. Every day you're learning. Simple.